this is a very, very busy news day in Hollywood for sure. We got the Star Wars information up earlier talking about a new Star Wars movie being in production. If you're interested in that topic, I'm going to leave a link to that video down in the description box below so you can check that out. Talking about the new Star Wars movie that is going into production, apparently for perhaps 2025. Now, we move over to Warner Brothers and the DC Comics front because now we have some more interesting information coming out of Hollywood, some more breaking news, and that is it seems that DC Studios have finally found their Kevin Feige. Of course, Kevin Feige being the showrunner over at Marvel. He has basically been the top guy over at Marvel, running things at Marvel and apparently running things into the ground, giving, writers and directors a little bit too much freedom. Looking at you, She-Hulk. But here we go. So the Hollywood Reporter, once again, we're getting our news from there. And they are reporting breaking news. DC shocker. James Gunn, Peter Safran to lead film, TV, and anime division. The duo will report directly to David Zaslav and assume the title of co-chairs and co-CEOs of DC Studios. So here we have the men featured here in this article. So this is a very interesting turn of events. James Gunn did the recent Suicide Squad movie, and I did not see the movie because I do not care about the Snyderverse continuity. Of course, I did see Black Adam. I have a review for Black Adam up on the channel. I'll leave that link down in the description box below as well if you guys want to check that out. I did like Black Adam, but overall, I've not been a fan of the Snyderverse and the continuity therein, and the Suicide Squad is connected to that. So I didn't bother to see it, so I can't really comment on it. I have seen clips from it, and, so on and so forth. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've not seen the full movie for myself. However, of course, James Gunn has been the one in charge of the Guardian of the Galaxy films, both of which I really, really like. Of course, the first Guardians of the Galaxy film was a surprise hit. Before that, no one really knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were from the comics, but that movie was a surprise hit, and the sequel was pretty damn good as well. So, I do like some of the stuff that James Gunn has done as far as superhero movies go. So these two seem to be working together. So we're not just getting one Kevin Feige figure for DC. It looks like we're going to be getting two Kevin Feige figures. And these guys, must have been working behind the scenes for a little while now in order for Warner Brothers and DC to actually hire them together as a duo, as co-chairs and co-CEOs of DC Studios. So this is going to be a very interesting combination here. Now, what I find to be probably more important than anything else is that they are going to be reporting to David Zaslav. So Zaslav, I think he's got a lot of things in the works. I think he's got a lot of things going on for the future of DC movies and Warner Brothers as a whole. And, he's been very, very, he's been very, very loud about very open about talking about that DC and specifically Superman are kind of the most important IPs that they have, and that's what they really want to lead with. That's what they want to go forward with. So I do like a lot of what Zaslav seems to be doing. Also, what this tells me is that probably the Snyderverse is going to get rebooted. We are going to be getting a new continuity at some point. It could be with the Flash movie. It could be with a Flashpoint type of event, because if they were going to continue the Snyderverse, you think they would bring Zack Snyder back. That's not what they're doing. They're bringing in some new blood. They're bringing in James Gunn and Peter Safran. So let's go ahead and continue on with this article, and we'll talk a little bit more about it after we're done. So the article continues. The hierarchy of power in the DC universe really is changing. In a stunning turn of events, filmmaker James Gunn and producer Peter Safran have been tapped to lead DC's film, TV, and animation efforts as co-chairs and co-CEOs of DC Studios, a newly formed division at Warner Brothers that will replace DC Films. The unprecedented move, in which a top director will assume a top executive post, marks the end of a months-long search by Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav to replace DC Films boss Walter Hamada, who departed the studio last week. Thank God, because apparently, according to the rumors, Hamada did not want Cavill coming back as Superman, even though I believe, and I think a lot of other fans believe, that he is going to be the Superman of this generation. That search had all of Hollywood guessing and playing executive bingo for who would land one of the most coveted and challenging jobs in town. Yeah, challenging is an understatement. In recent weeks, Gunn and Safran were spotted on the Warner Brothers lot, that famous lot. I want to go there someday and check it out for myself. They were seen on the Warner Brothers lot, meeting with Warner Brothers film co-chair Michael De Luca about future projects. And according to sources, the initial overture to Safran and Gunn came from De Luca over the summer, even as the studio is in shaky talks with producer Dan Lin to take the job. I had my doubts that Dan Lin was actually going to get the job. I wasn't willing to say it was an outright impossibility, but I did have my doubts on that. Gunn will focus on the creative side of things, while Safran will focus on the business and production side. That, I think, is a very good combination right there. Yes, I think Gunn being on the more creative side of things, especially... And I'm not saying every film is going to be like Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't think every film in the new DC continuity needs to be like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that would be a little bit too jokey, a little bit too humorous. But overall, I do like his creative vision. Safran being on the business and production side, that I think that's very important, because one of the things I am concerned about when it comes to Kevin Feige, and I think we're seeing this play out with the decline of the MCU in general, is Kevin Feige has a lot on his plate. He's got a lot of oh my gosh, Kevin Feige has a lot of stuff on his plate. Wow. Okay. So yeah, he's got a lot of stuff going on, but now that you have two guys running the show over at DC, you can kind of split that up a little bit. You can have Gunn focusing on the creative side, the storytelling, the character writing, and Safran on the business and production side, and they can come together and hash things out and talk things through. I think that's a very good combination right there. Both are expected to continue to direct and produce projects respectively. They will report directly. This is very important. I'm going to highlight this because this is super, super important. Here we go. They will report directly to Zaslav. Good. Excellent. And work closely with Warner's film bosses De Luca and Pamela Abdi. Them reporting directly to Zaslav is so crucial. All right. If Kathleen Kennedy had to report directly to Bob Chapek over at Disney, Star Wars probably wouldn't be in the mess that it is right now. So, yes, these guys having to report directly to Zaslav, who really cares about making money like a businessman should. And to make money, you need to make quality products. That is so important. That right there, more than anything, gives me a lot of hope for DC going forward. I love that. Sources say the deal runs 4 years and Gunn will be exclusive to DC. So he is done with Marvel. This confirms it. He is done with Marvel. Now, I think he's already finished writing Guardians of the Galaxy 3, if I'm not mistaken. And there is a whole Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special coming up, whatever. But I think he has finished writing Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But after that, he seems to be done with Marvel, and he's going to be moving over to DC. And there's been a lot of tension, a lot of, a lot of anxiety between Gunn and Marvel. They've not been on good terms lately, pretty much. So Gunn moving over to DC, whether or not he was going to have a position this high up on the totem pole or not. I think that Gunn going over to DC was something that was going to be happening sooner rather than later. The goal is for them not to be just producers, but to truly function as executives, even as Gunn will occasionally hone a movie. So we're probably going to get some James Gunn directed movies, but he's not going to be directing every movie. So I don't want people to think that every movie going forward with DC is going to be like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not. He's going to get his own movies from time to time, but he's going to be an executive. He's going to be a Kevin Feige type figure. Unlike Marvel Studios, DC has multiple films in separate creative universes, and according to sources, Joker filmmaker Todd Phillips' work on the upcoming sequel, which goes into production later this year, will not fall under Gunn and Safran's purview, and instead will be overseen by DeLuca and Abdi. Matt Reeves, who worked under Hamada, has a budding universe based on the Batman movie. It is unclear under whose purview Reeves' future projects would fall, but everything else moving forward would be under Gunn and Safran. So what I think is basically happening here is that, okay, the Batman continuity, that seems to be a little bit more up in the air, a little bit unsure. But as far as like the Joker sequel and the Joker continuity, I think what is happening here is that we are slowly phasing out the stuff that has been going on at DC for the last few years. So I'm talking about the Snyder continuity that began with Man of Steel. I think that's going to get phased out, and I think that's going to get rebooted into a brand new continuity. And that's going to be the continuity that James Gunn and Safran are going to be over, that they're going to be running the show with this new continuity. And then eventually, when the Joker sequel comes out, that is also going to be the end of an era. I think that continuity is going to be phased out. I also think, whether you love it or hate it, the Batman continuity is going to be phased out as well, because I think they do want to make their own MCU style universe. I think that is coming. I think the Snyderverse is going to be rebooted, and we're going to get a brand new continuity via something like a Flashpoint. And, I'm not saying that they won't be doing things like the Batman or the Joker going forward, but those are going to be things that are going to be clearly distinguished, clearly separated from this larger universe. Like Matt Reeves' Batman is not going to be the Batman in the new DC cinematic universe. I don't know if it's going to be Ben Affleck or not, because Ben Affleck, is starting to get up in age. Not really, but, I don't know if he's going to be a long-term candidate for Bruce Wayne. Patterson could be, but, I don't think that continuity that he exists in really lends itself to a larger DC universe. That seems to be a more self-contained thing, like with The Dark Knight. So I don't think it's going to be part of this new continuity. I do think that we're in the phase out portion of where we're going with DC. And if you've been watching any of my streams, which you should be, subscribe, click the bell, like this video, all that good stuff, so you can get more DC Comics videos like this. But if you've been watching any of my streams or videos where I've talked about DC, you know that I've been saying I think that we're going to slowly phase out the current slate of projects. They're going to get phased out, and we're going to eventually get a rebooted DC cinematic universe at some point. Whether that's in 2024, 2025, I do think it is coming eventually, and that's going to be Gunn and Safran's main focus. All right, so continuing on with the article, DC has among the most entertaining, powerful, and iconic characters in the world, and I am thrilled to have the singular and complementary talents of James and Peter joining our world-class team and overseeing the creative direction of the storied DC universe, said Zaslav in a statement. Their decades of experience in filmmaking, close ties to the community, and proven track record of thrilling superhero fans around the globe make them uniquely qualified to develop a long-term strategy across film, TV, and animation, and take this iconic franchise to the next level of creative storytelling. So that is the story, folks. Again, I think the most important part is this highlighted section right here. They will report directly to Zaslav. That, I think, is huge, 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 huge. As the former president himself would say, huge. All right, so I think this is very good news. Again, we're not going to know exactly how this is going to turn out until we start getting products in this new universe. But I think that overall, this is probably going to be a positive move for DC movies going forward. But of course, tell me your thoughts on this down in the comments section below. And if you want to get more DC Comics news, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications, like this video, and you'll get more content like this coming up. Also on this channel, we do stuff like Star Wars. I just put out a Star Wars video earlier today. I'm going to have that link down in the description box below if you want to check that out. Also, Black Adam, I'm going to have that link down in the description box below. I did a review on that. I'm going to have that link down below if you want to check that out. I also talked about Superman news, Henry Cavill returning as Superman. I'm going to have that video linked down below as well. Go check all that stuff out, guys. Like it. If you're into gaming and tech, check out my gaming and tech channel. That's going to be linked down below as well. But that being said, that's going to wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for watching. And this is Jessica James with a Z, and I'm signing out.